So we're going to continue our hot summer playlist as we talk about the Psalms, the ups and downs, the mountains, the valleys, the highs and the lows of what it's like to engage with life. The Psalms do a wide breadth of human emotions. There's all kinds of like, hey, things are going great, and then, hey, things are not so hot, right? You guys have heard me say, David is kind of the original emo singer, right? Like when I see David, I see him with angry bangs, guy liner, he's in all black, he's got a guitar, right? And he's just like, life is horrible, everyone's abandoned me, God's forsaken me, but everything's gonna be okay. And right, that's the roller coaster of emotions that sort of go through the Psalms. And so today's psalm is called a Psalm of Zion, right? We have Psalms of Lament, we have songs of praise. Last week we had a song of thanksgiving. This is a song of Zion. You're gonna see some imagery that talks about the city of God, where the people of God reside and where the temple resides, and therefore where God resided throughout the Old Testament. So hopefully you've already turned there. Psalm 46, I'm gonna be reading that. You can read along with me, or it's gonna be on the screen. This is what it says. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth gives way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam and the mountains quake with their surging. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God and the holy place where the Most High dwells. God is within her. She will not fall. God will help her at the break of day. Nations are in an uproar. Kingdoms fall, and he lifts his voice. The earth melts away. The Lord God Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Come and see what the Lord has done, the desolations that he has now brought upon the earth. He makes wars cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow, he shatters the spear, he burns the shields with fire, and then he says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress." So the authors here are sort of purveying this imagery, right? It says that God is both our refuge and our strength. God is both the outside protection. God is sort of I don't know if if you grew up in church. We have phrases, right, that we use in church, Christianese phrases that other areas don't use, right? Like you just kind of, and if you've grown up in church and you hear and they sound normal, if you come in late in life in a church, you're like, why do they say it that way, right? Like there's just like, we'll say, church is the only place where you talk about having fellowship. Let's have some fellowship. Like no one else out there, it's not like something you have, right? Like and one of the phrases we use, and maybe you guys have heard this, is put a hedge of protection. Have you heard that at some point in your life, right? And in my mind, like I always saw like these like little hedges, right? Like it's like, they're not doing much, God. Like that's like, I just saw these sort of like this like little greenery around, like God's putting a shrubbery around like to protect me, right? That's this hedge of protection, which this scripture makes it a little bit more clear. It is a fortress of protection, an outside circle of protection from the outside. But then it says God is also our strength. And what it's connecting is that which we find our refuge in will provide our strength, right? We can act a certain way, we can live a certain way because of the refuge that we have in our lives. And when I think about this, when I was a kid, this will be difficult for some of you guys to imagine knowing me now, but I had a lot of energy as a child. I was very active. I was loud. I talked very fast. I did everything fast. A lot of energy. Didn't sleep very much. My parents actually took me to the doctor and was just like, he doesn't sleep. Like, can you help us? Like, I like, can you do something in our life? I just didn't sleep. I would stay awake for anywhere from 24 to 48 hours straight. I would crash for 10, and then I would do it again. And they had me prayed over. They had me anointed, right? With chlorophyll, right? They were just like, what? Like, can we just do something? Can you just get this kid to sleep? And it was hard. And that energy would often be push towards my father. My mom was a teacher, and so in the morning, they would get me ready. She would leave for school, and I would be doing all this stuff. And my dad would, my dad is a very disciplined man. If you met my dad is he's very clean. He's very organized. Everything has a place. There's a place for everything. When my mom got pregnant with me, he described our kid. This is what our kid's going to do. He's going to take one toy, and he's going to play with it. When he's done, he's going to put that toy away. He's going to get out a second toy, right? Like that's how my dad saw life going. And then I came. And I destroyed their perfection of life, like everything. And so I'm just doing my thing. I'm being me. My dad, and he would just be like, Aaron. And like I could just hear in his voice. I knew when we hit that spot, Aaron. And I would run out of the toy room, and I would run into the living room where my mom was sitting down, generally tired, and I would jump into the loving, protective arms of my mother, who would say, Joe, don't hurt my baby. And I would say, yes, Joe, listen to her, So there was one particular day, I'm doing my thing. My dad had enough, but he tried a different approach. And this time he walked in, and he started speaking very quietly, which is the scariest thing I've ever heard in my life. And he got down low, and he said, when your mother is gone, you're mine. And at that point, I heard the outside door shut, and I took off. Dude, I ran out of the bedroom, down the stairs, through the door, out into the awaiting neighborhood where everyone's outside waiting, and I just screamed at the top of my lungs, Mom, he's gonna kill me! And I jump off the steps into the protective, awaiting arms of my mother, who looks up at my laughing father and says, Joe, don't hurt my baby boy. And I was like, I don't think he's gonna listen, Mom. I should go to school with you, right? Like I was like, because I knew, right? This was my refuge. This was the protection in that moment. And where we put our protection gives us strength to act in a certain way for better or for worse, depending on where we find our value, what we hold on to. And what he's saying is we want to run to God. And in one of the other Psalms, God is actually described as a mother hen who is putting her wings around her chicks in protection. And he is our refuge. He is our strength. He is our outside protection and our inward provision that allows us to do what we are supposed to do, what we are called to do, what we desire to do, because we find our faith and our hope and our trust in him. And there's lots of places we can go. And I think if we're honest with ourselves, there's lots of places that we do go to find our protection, to find our value. It's what we grab for when things get chaotic, when we get nervous. I can remember in 2020, I got a call from the health department from New York when we were in Corning. This was March, early March. They said, hey, things are getting a little weird, which was like the understatement of the year, right? Things are getting a little weird. And we were the largest church in the community. They said, could we, meet and talk with you guys about sort of how the religious community can help in this time? We're not sure what's going to happen. We think, do you remember this? We think we're going to have to shut down for 2 weeks, right? Do you remember that? We're going to flatten the curve, right? We're going to figure this out. We're going to shut down for 2 weeks, and people may need help, and we want to meet with you guys. And after we got that call, I remember calling Shara, and I said, Shara, you need to go to the grocery store right now. You need to get frozen food, you need to get canned food, and you need to get jerky, right? And because I said, because it doesn't go bad. Because I didn't know how long this was going to last, but I wasn't going to be hungry, right? Had I known then what I know now, what I would have said is, and grab a bunch of toilet paper. Because you people can't be trusted with that. I saw what happened, man. It was crazy. People got in fights in Corning, at Wegmans, over toilet paper. And can I just listen, there was never a shortage of toilet paper. We had stocks and stocks and stocks of toilet paper. It just hadn't always been distributed on time. And what happened is we grabbed for control. It was the one thing we held on to. Because I remember thinking, like, how much do these people go to the bathroom? Like, why do they need, why do you need 4 of those big old 48 packs from Sam's Club, right? Like, what happened was we grabbed for something that gave us a sense of control in the midst of the chaos. We run to something that we think is going to give us refuge, that we think is going to give us strength. And we don't just do this in crazy times. We do this just in our general life. We put a weight on things that were never meant to hold it, whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, whatever it may be that we hold on to and we cling to and we grab at. And he says, look, God is our refuge and our strength. He is a present help. He is always there. Other things will go away. Toilet paper will go away. That's what we learned. Life gets crazy and it can turn on a dime. And if we put our faith and our hope and our trust in stuff that's not going to last, then the chaos can destroy us. And he uses this sort of chaotic imagery. He says, look, when the earth falls away, when the mountains fall into the sea, when the waters are foaming, this is all end of the world type of things. In the ancient Near East, what they believed that the mountains held up the sky, that the pillars of the mountains sort of separated the waters above, which was the sky, and the waters below, which is the ocean. And what they believed was that if these mountains were falling down, right, that basically it's an ancient Near Eastern way of saying when the sky is falling, when your life and the world feels like it's collapsing around you. It says when the waters foam, which is the chaos, right? If you've ever been around just strong water currents, right? It's scary. Water is scary. Like it is strong and it is unrelenting. If you've ever been caught in a riptide near the ocean, it starts to pull you out. You can't swim against that. There are depths of the ocean that we have not been to, that we cannot explore yet. But we don't know what's there. I'm sure at least $1 General, right? But we don't know what else could be there. Water is chaotic. It's unruly. And it says, look, when the sky is falling, when your world is failing, when everything around you that's holding your world up is falling, when the chaos is around you, he is there. He is your refuge, your outside protection. He is your strength, your inward provision. And when they use this language of when the earth melts away, or when the earth falls apart under you, I think it was a personal reason for the authors. If you look at the top of this psalm, it should say something to the effect of, this is a psalm of the sons of Korah. Right? And you're probably asking, who are the sons of Korah? Well, I'm glad you asked, because I have this whole section planned. And if you didn't ask, this would be awkward. But since you did, in Numbers 16, we learn about this guy named Korah. I'm not going to read it all. I just want to tell you where it's found. You can look it up later. But there's a group of individual. Korah is one of them. Korah is a Levite, meaning he is the group of the holiest tribe that helps with the tabernacle and the temple of the holiest people, the children of Israel. And Korah is in charge, his family is in charge of the Ark of the Covenant, which is the holiest piece of the holiest temple, of the holiest tribe, of the holiest people of God. So he's a prominent individual who has been worshiping God and helping others worship God for a long time. He's been following Moses and Aaron for a while, and he starts to decide he doesn't like the way they're leading. Now, if you've ever led or been a leader or had to motivate or move a group of people are not always going to like you, right? That's just the truth. Like there are times when people are not going to like the way you talk. Perhaps they say you talk too fast, right? And to which you might say, this is the slowest I've ever talked, right? Like you should have seen me hypothetically person 10 years ago, right? Like that's right. Or maybe they don't like I don't know, the way you stand or the words you say or whatever it may be. There are just times in life where this happens, and sometimes they're good things, right? Sometimes people come to me and say, Aaron, I wish you were a little more, administratively organized. And I'd say that's fair. That's a fair critique. I understand that, And so there's times when leadership actually needs to be critiqued. But in this particular case, they are mad because God has blessed Aaron and Moses with this position, and the Korah says, look, you're not any holier than us. Right? We're all holy. We all should be doing this. And so a fight starts. And Korah gets a group of 250 men, and brings them in to start arguing with Moses. And Moses doesn't know what to do. So he goes to God and he starts praying to God, right? And if you're a leader, you've done this too. God, what do you want me to do with these people? Right? Like this is what Wilkie prays every board meeting. God, what do you want me to do with these people, God? Right? Like what am I'm trying to lead this group of yahoos, And so he's just, what do you want me to do? And God says, look, I want you to get together. I want you to talk it out. I want you to pray about it. I want each group to light incense, and I'll take care of it. And so Moses tells them, and they come together, and they start, and Moses is like, oh, God, here we are, we're doing the thing. And God says, hey, Moses, back up. Now, this is just an Aaron Duvall special. This isn't on the test, but can I just say, if God tells you to back up, back up. So Moses starts to back up, and he tells the people, hey, I think we should back up. And this is what Moses says. Moses says, look, if Korah and his group, if they live long lives and they live to the end of their life and they die of natural causes, you'll know that I was wrong. But if something weird happens, like, I don't know, in the next 5 to 10 minutes, right? If something goes on, right? And something happens around us, then you'll know that God we've been leading the way we're supposed to lead. And so Korah lights his incense, and Aaron lights his incense, and Moses and Aaron's back up, and all the people back up. And immediately at that moment, the earth opens up. And it swallows these 250 guys, right? And so it's boom, gone. And so it says all their lineage, all their family, boom, gone. These people that have decided they were going to cling for power. They didn't like the way their nation's leaders were doing stuff, so they were going to take it upon themselves to fix it on their own, through their own strength, through their own power. They didn't trust that God could take care of it. They didn't trust that God was their refuge. They were going to create their own strength, and like we do, they grabbed for power, tried to fix things on their own, and if you've ever done this, you know it oftentimes ends in disaster. And so they're destroyed. But a few passages later, it says, but the lineage of Korah continued. And not only did it continue, but they continued to help in the temple. Samuel, who, right, anoints the kings, is one of the descendants of Korah. And eventually there's this group of men who are the sons of Korah. And they start writing psalms. And they start talking about the things in life that can happen, where it may seem like God is not there. And I just wonder if it was a bit of a personal moment for them when they said, even though the earth gives way. Right? Because most of these things we think about them are not in our control. They're not our fault. When the storms of life rage, when the mountains are falling down into the sea, when the nation is shut down, when we lose our job, when things are chaotic around us, it's easy for us to say, look, this isn't our fault. God, where are you? But what they remind us is, yes, there are these moments of life when it is chaotic simply because life is going on, but there are also times of our own making when we try to grab for power, we try to fix stuff on our God is God. He is our refuge. He is our strength. He is our present help in these times of trouble. And I don't have to fear the chaos, whether natural or of my own making. I don't have to fear the things that are going on around me. And not only does it say that he overcomes the chaos, but he transforms it into something life-giving. He says the water is surging, the water is foaming, the water is chaotic and overtaking us. And what does God do? He steps in and he uses the same thing to bless us. It says the water is surging and rolling and foaming and moving and coming at us, but we don't have to be afraid because God's in charge of the water, and he makes streams of living water to make those that are within his refuge blessed. There are times and situations and circumstances and people in our life that we feel are attacking us, that we feel are coming at us. There are situations that are sometimes outside of our control. Sometimes we've caused it, and we are hurt and we are broken, and we say things like, what good can come from this? And what the psalmist reminds us is if that God is our refuge, he is my refuge. He is my strength. He is my presence in time of trouble, when the earth is shaking, when the mountains are falling, when the sky is coming in and the water feels like it's going to drown me. He is still present. He is still there. He is still God. When the enemy is encamped around us, that's the imagery that he's having here. And I love how he tells us to fix it. If you're a parent or you've ever been around children, you've said this before. Be still. Be quiet. Calm down. Our natural instinct when things get hard is to try harder. I've just got to do more. I've got to work harder. I've got to work longer hours. I've got to be more holy. I've got to pray harder. I've got to do this stuff. And what happens is we start to live as if life in the world is dependent on our strength. You guys know a couple weeks ago I preached and I talked about we're digging this pad. Well, Shara thought I did such a good job that she wanted the fence moved. And she's like, can you dig some post holes? No, thank you. Right? I'm done digging. I've had enough. So we go to Lowe's. I get the little post hole digger thing. Got to do 3 of them. 3 feet down. That's what they tell you. 3 feet down. It's ridiculous. I mean, who even needs a fence, really, right? And I get the first, 4 inches. It's going great. And you guys know what comes next. Right? Because apparently, and I don't know if everywhere in Idaho Falls is this way, but our area, we were blessed to live what used to be a riverbed. Did you know that? Do they make that in the sales pitch when you move here? Like, is that a thing? Like, hey, great place, you can only dig 3 inches. Like, it don't. And I've got this. I am cheap. All right, I'm just gonna be straight up with you. I buy things and then keep them forever until they are old and broken. I don't like to buy new stuff. Like I'm going to do it the cheap way if it kills me, which it often almost does. And I'm hammering this thing in, and it's ting. It's just ting. It's not. It's just. I mean, I don't care how sharp that thing is. You're not going through river rock. And I'm hitting it. I mean, it's hard. And I will hit it harder. Right. It will wield to me. And I'm just hitting this stuff, and Cher's like, do you want a ribbon auger? I'm like, it's only 3 holes. I'm not paying that, And she's like, I mean, I'd like to keep you around. I'm like, I'll be here. I just won't have arms, I'm just everything. And she finally goes, I have an idea. Can I help? And I'm like, by all means, give it a go, babe. And she goes, I think we should pour water in it. And I go, that is never going to work. Just leave me alone. Go inside and do something. And I get a bucket. I fill it up. And I pour it in the hole. And you'd think after 14 years I would know. She was right. Now, it still was hard. But it went through, and I could start moving. And God says, I know you've been trying hard. I get it. But could you just be still for a moment? And let me pour my living water into your life. And it doesn't mean it won't be hard. It doesn't mean it won't be difficult. But it will be possible. And he says, stop trying so hard. Stop trying to do it in your own strength. Stop thinking the answer is you just pushing the shovel harder and gritting your teeth and pulling yourself up and just getting it done. He says, stop it. Just be still. And he's not just speaking it over us, but he's speaking it over the chaos, over our enemies, over the problems, over the water, over the storms. He's speaking, be still to us, and then he's turning to it and saying, be still, because I am God and you are not. And I am in charge and you are not. And my name will be exalted because of how I deal with this situation. And God wants to step into our lives where the chaos and the craziness and whatever else is going on, and where we've been trying really hard. And perhaps his message to us today is it is not in trying, but in trusting. Maybe his message to me today is stop running and start resting in me. Be still and know that I am God. And I am your strength. And I am your refuge. And when you find your faith and your hope and your trust in me, you can do the impossible through me that you could never have done through your own. So I'm going to ask Kenny and the team to come up, and we're going to close in song today. We're going to close a little different. Generally, if you've been here a while, you know, we close different ways, different times. Sometimes we close in singing. Sometimes we close in communion. I think that's next week or the week after. We're doing communion together. There's all kinds of ways we respond. So I'm going to ask you guys to stand here with me. And as they sing, after I pray over you, I'm going to ask you to respond in a different way. I think probably there's some of us here today who, when you heard this passage, especially that beginning part, it hits you right here. You know what it feels like when the pillars are falling down. You know what it feels like when the sky is falling. You know what it feels like when the water is coming against you. And you've been trying and trying and trying and working, and it just doesn't feel like it's enough. And God says, you're right. So just be still. So maybe today, as they're singing, you want to respond by kneeling at your seat and just praying. Maybe with some loved ones, maybe by yourself, and you just want to be still and know that he is God. Maybe you want to stand where you're at and just stand with a posture of acceptance. Maybe you want to come and kneel at one of these front chairs and just, God, the storm's there, the chaos is there, and I've been trying, I've been working. And maybe I just need to stop trying and stop trusting. Maybe I just need to stop running and start resting in you, that you are God, that you are my refuge, that you are my strength, and that I can't do any of this stuff without you. Maybe you want to kneel in the front. Maybe, I don't know how you want to respond. Respond as you feel God's leading you. But I'm going to pray, and when I'm done, I'm just going to ask you to sit or stand or kneel and embrace the presence of God in your life. Be still and know that he is God. And know that he is good. And know that he is good at being God. And that he wants to take the things that you think are harming you, and he wants to use it to bless you and to transform you and to move you into his likeness. And he wants to pour the living water, of which he is the source, to help you accomplish the impossible that you could have never done without him. God, it is sometimes hard for us to stand back and just let you do your work. We want to fix it. Help us to trust you. Help us to embrace you as our refuge, as our protection, to embrace you as our strength and our provision. doesn't make it easy, but it does make it possible. So Lord, for this moment, we just want to be still. We just want to sit and bask in who you are, knowing that you are good and you are God and you are good at being God. And you are for us, not against us. And you want to shatter the spears that are coming after us. You want to break the bows that would do us harm. You want to burn down the shields of our adversary. And it may feel like we're in the middle of a siege, in the middle of the night. You say, when the morning comes, so too will victory. And we claim that today. Not because of something we have done, not because of who we are, but of whose we are, and that is yours, your children. So would you take the chaos in our life and would you transform it into living water? In your Son's precious and holy name we pray. Amen.